Did you know that by 2026, millions of UK retirees could be living in poverty? That's right. Despite working for decades, many pensioners are running out of money faster than ever before. The very system designed to support retirees is crumbling, leaving people struggling to afford even the basics like food, housing, and healthcare. The state pension is no longer enough. Workplace pensions are shrinking, and the cost of living is wiping out savings. Thousands of retirees are drowning in debt, forced to choose between heating their homes or buying groceries. Some are even returning to work in their 70s and 80s because their pensions can't sustain them. And it's not just low-income earners. Even those who save diligently are watching their retirement funds vanish. Inflation, rising rent, and healthcare costs are making it impossible for many to enjoy the retirement they once dreamed of. So how did we get here? Why are millions of hard-working people at risk of financial disaster in their later years? And most importantly, how can you avoid falling into the same trap? In this video, we reveal 10 shocking reasons why the UK's retirement crisis is spiralling out of control. If you think your pension is secure, think again. Stay with us until the end, because what we uncover might just change the way you plan for your future. Number 1. State pension is no longer enough. Did you know that the UK state pension is one of the lowest in Western Europe? For millions of retirees, it's their primary source of income, yet it barely covers basic living expenses. In 2024, the full new state pension is just over £10,600 per year. That's less than £900 a month. But with the rising cost of living, that money is disappearing faster than ever. Think about it. Rent, utilities, food, and healthcare costs are at an all-time high. The UK inflation rate has surged, making everyday essentials more expensive than retirees ever planned for. A decade ago, the state pension provided some stability, but in 2025 and beyond, it's no longer enough to ensure financial security. Another problem: the state pension age is increasing. Right now, you can claim it at 66, but by 2028, it will rise to 67. There's even speculation that it could reach 70 in the future. That means many people will work longer than expected, delaying retirement just to survive financially. But what happens if you can't work that long? Many people in their 60s and 70s face health issues that make continuing employment impossible. Yet without additional savings or private pensions, they're left struggling to afford basic necessities. The truth is, relying only on the state pension is a dangerous gamble. If you don't have extra savings, investments, or a private pension, your retirement years could be filled with financial stress instead of security. What do you think? Is the UK pension system failing its retirees? Comment below. Number 2. Rising cost of living is devastating savings. Retirement used to mean security and stability. But in 2025, the rising cost of living is wiping out savings faster than ever. Many retirees who thought they had enough money for their golden years are now watching their funds disappear due to soaring prices. Let's talk about the biggest expense: energy bills. In the past few years, UK households have seen gas and electricity prices skyrocket, with many pensioners forced to choose between heating their homes and buying food. Government support schemes help, but they're not enough to cover the full burden. Then there's food inflation. Groceries now cost significantly more than they did 5 years ago, making it harder for pensioners on a fixed income to afford a balanced diet. Fresh produce, meat, and dairy have become luxuries rather than essentials for many older adults struggling with tight budgets. Rent and housing costs are also on the rise. Many retirees don't own their homes and must continue paying rent. But with the housing crisis worsening, rents are increasing, eating up a huge portion of their limited income. Even those who own their homes aren't safe, as council tax, maintenance, and utility bills continue to climb. The harsh truth: even those who save diligently for retirement are struggling. Inflation erodes the value of savings, and many private pensions haven't kept up with the real cost of living. Some pensioners are even returning to work just to make ends meet. If prices keep rising, what will retirement look like in 5 years? Will future pensioners be forced to keep working indefinitely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Number 3. Private pensions are underperforming. For years, workers in the UK were told that private pensions would provide them with a comfortable retirement. But in 2025, many retirees are discovering the harsh reality. Their pensions aren't delivering as promised. One major issue is low investment returns. Many workplace pensions and personal pension plans rely on stock market performance. But with economic instability, inflation, and market fluctuations, these funds have not grown as expected. In some cases, retirees have seen their pension pots lose value instead of increase. Another problem: high management fees. Many pension funds charge hidden fees that erode savings over time. If you're not actively checking how much your pension provider is deducting, you could be losing thousands without realizing it. But the biggest concern? Not enough savings to last a lifetime. Studies show that most UK workers aren't contributing enough to their pensions. Experts recommend having at least £300,000 saved for a comfortable retirement. But most retirees have far less. Even those who save responsibly are facing trouble. Rising costs mean pension withdrawals are higher than expected, leading to faster depletion. Some people who plan to retire at 65 are now considering working longer because their pension won't support them for 20 plus years. And let's not forget about pension scams. Thousands of retirees fall victim to fraudulent investment schemes, losing their life savings in an instant. The truth is, private pensions are not the safety net people once believed. Without additional income sources or careful financial planning, many retirees are at serious risk of running out of money. Number 4. Housing crisis. For decades, home ownership was seen as a key to financial security in retirement. But in 2025, millions of retirees in the UK are still renting, putting them at serious financial risk as housing costs continue to skyrocket. The reality is owning a home in the UK has become increasingly difficult. With property prices soaring, many people never manage to buy during their working years. Now, as they enter retirement, they face rising rents with no stable income to support them. The numbers are alarming. By 2026, nearly 1/3 of pensioners will be renting. And with private rents increasing every year, many retirees will struggle to afford a place to live. A person relying solely on the state pension will barely cover rent, let alone utilities and other essentials. Even those who own homes aren't safe. Property taxes, maintenance costs, and service charges have risen sharply, leaving many retirees with homes they can't afford to keep. Some are forced to sell, but even downsizing doesn't always solve the problem. Cheaper housing options are limited, and demand is high. For some retirees, social housing is the only option, but availability is at an all-time low. Long waiting lists and government funding cuts mean that thousands of pensioners are at risk of homelessness. The UK's housing crisis is pushing many retirees to financial breaking points. Without affordable and stable housing, their quality of life is severely impacted. Number 5. People are retiring with too much debt. Retirement is supposed to be a time of financial freedom, but for millions of UK retirees, it's anything but. Instead of enjoying their golden years, many are burdened with debt, making it impossible to retire comfortably. The biggest issue? Mortgages that aren't paid off. In the past, most homeowners entered retirement debt-free, but today, a shocking 1 in 4 retirees still have outstanding mortgage payments. Many took out interest-only mortgages or remortgaged their homes later in life, thinking they'd pay them off before retirement. But rising costs have made that impossible. Credit card debt is another major problem. With the cost of living crisis, many pensioners have relied on credit cards to cover everyday expenses. But high interest rates mean that even small balances can spiral out of control, leaving retirees paying off debt instead of enjoying their savings. Then there are personal loans and car payments. Many retirees have taken out loans to help family members, cover medical expenses, or maintain their standard of living. But with fixed incomes and rising interest rates, these loans are becoming financial traps. The harsh truth: pensions were never designed to support debt payments. Every pound that goes towards paying off loans is money that could be spent on food, housing, and healthcare. So, what happens next? Many retirees return to work just to cover debts, while others downsize or cut back drastically. Number 6. The NHS is struggling. Healthcare is supposed to be a safety net for retirees, but in 2025, the NHS is overwhelmed, and private healthcare costs are soaring, leaving millions of pensioners in a medical and financial crisis. The NHS waiting times are at record highs, with some patients waiting months, even years, for essential treatments. Many elderly people cannot afford to wait for surgeries or specialist care, forcing them to seek private healthcare, but at a huge cost. A routine private consultation can cost hundreds of pounds, while essential surgeries like hip replacements can cost £10,000 or more. Many retirees simply can't afford this, leaving them trapped in pain or unable to get the care they need. Prescription costs are another issue. While some retirees qualify for free prescriptions, many still face rising medication prices. Chronic illnesses like diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis require lifelong medication, adding financial pressure to already tight budgets. Then there's the growing need for social care. As people age, in-home carers and nursing homes become a necessity. But social care funding is stretched thin, and private care can cost up to £50,000 per year. Many pensioners are forced to sell their homes just to cover these costs. The bottom line: healthcare in the UK is no longer truly free for retirees. Whether it's long NHS delays, costly private treatments, or unaffordable care homes, the system is failing pensioners when they need it most. Number 7. The retirement age is increasing. For decades, the UK retirement age was fixed and predictable, allowing workers to plan their futures with confidence. But in 2025, the retirement age is rising, forcing millions to work longer than expected just to survive. Currently, the state pension age is 66, but by 2028, it will rise to 67. And experts warn that it could reach 70 in the coming decades due to longer life expectancy and a struggling pension system. This means today's workers will have to stay in the workforce for years longer before they can claim their pensions. But here's the problem: not everyone can keep working. Many people in physically demanding jobs, like construction workers, nurses, and factory employees, cannot work into their late 60s or 70s due to health issues. Yet without a pension, they have no choice but to keep working or rely on inadequate benefits. Even those in office jobs struggle with age discrimination. Finding employment as a 60-plus worker is increasingly difficult, and many are being pushed out before they can access their pensions. And let's not forget the financial impact. Delaying retirement means paying more in taxes, while pensions don't increase enough to match the extra working years. Many feel trapped, unable to retire comfortably. The real question is, how high will the retirement age go? With fewer young workers paying into the system, will future generations even have a pension to rely on? Number 8. Workplace pensions are being cut. For years, workplace pensions were seen as a reliable safety net for retirement. Employees expected their companies to contribute towards their pensions, ensuring financial security in their later years. But in 2025, many UK workers are facing a harsh reality. Workplace pensions are shrinking, and some are disappearing entirely. One major issue is that employers are cutting contributions. Many companies, especially in struggling industries, are reducing their pension benefits to save money. Some have even eliminated defined benefit pensions, replacing them with less generous schemes that shift the financial burden onto employees. At the same time, auto-enrollment pensions, which were meant to ensure every worker has retirement savings, are not keeping up with inflation. While employees and employers contribute a small percentage of wages into these schemes, the amounts saved are often too low to provide a comfortable retirement. Another problem? Pension fund investments are underperforming. Many workplace pension funds rely on stock market growth, but with economic instability and global recessions, returns have been lower than expected. This means many workers will retire with far less than they had planned. Additionally, part-time and gig economy workers, a growing section of the UK workforce, often don't qualify for workplace pensions. With more people working in temporary or flexible jobs, millions are missing out on employer pension contributions, leaving them vulnerable in retirement. The bottom line? If you're relying solely on a workplace pension, you may not have enough to retire comfortably. Future retirees will need alternative savings plans, side incomes, or investments to make up for shrinking pensions. Number 9. The population is aging. The UK is facing a major demographic shift. The number of retirees is growing rapidly, while the working age population is shrinking. By 2026, there will be more people over 65 than under 18, placing massive pressure on pensions, healthcare, and social services. Here's the problem. Fewer workers are paying into the system. Pensions are funded by current workers' taxes, but with lower birth rates and fewer young employees, there's a pension shortfall. Simply put, there isn't enough money to sustain the growing number of retirees. At the same time, government support is declining. Funding for social care, pension increases, and elderly benefits is not keeping up with inflation. Many older people struggle to access the help they need, whether it's home care, financial assistance, or even basic healthcare. One of the biggest concerns is long-term care. As people live longer, demand for care homes and in-home support is rising, but government funding is stretched thin, forcing many pensioners to pay out of pocket for essential care. Some retirees are selling their homes just to afford nursing care, while others go without the support they need. Then, there's the state pension dilemma. With a growing number of pensioners and fewer workers contributing, will the government be forced to cut pension benefits in the future? Some experts warn that state pensions could become unsustainable, meaning future retirees may receive even less financial support. The aging population crisis is real, and without major reforms, millions of retirees will be left struggling. Number 10. People are not saving enough for retirement. One of the biggest reasons the UK is facing a retirement crisis is simple. Most people are not saving enough. While pensions and government support help, the harsh truth is that many retirees will not have enough money to last through their later years. Experts recommend that a person needs at least £300,000 in retirement savings for a comfortable life. But studies show that over 50% of UK adults have saved far less. Some have nothing at all. The average pension pot for many retirees is just £61,000, which is nowhere near enough to cover 20+ years of retirement. One major issue? People underestimate how much they'll need. Many assume that their state pension and workplace pension will be enough. But as we've already discussed, these are falling short. Inflation, rising costs, and unexpected medical expenses mean that retirement is far more expensive than most people plan for. Another problem? People delay saving. Many workers in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s don't think about retirement, assuming they'll start saving later. But the longer you wait, the harder it is to build a sustainable pension. The situation's even worse for self-employed and gig economy workers. Without access to employer pensions, many aren't saving anything for retirement, putting them at high risk of financial insecurity in old age. The harsh reality is that millions of future retirees will have to keep working or drastically cut back their lifestyle just to survive. Without proper savings, financial struggles in retirement are inevitable. The UK's retirement crisis is worse than most people realise. Rising costs, shrinking pensions, and a failing system are pushing millions of retirees to the brink of financial ruin. Many who once believed they had saved enough are now struggling to survive, forced to work longer, take on debt, or cut back on essentials just to make ends meet. The truth is, retirement isn't what it used to be. The safety nets that supported previous generations are breaking down, and the government's response hasn't been enough to fix the problem. If things don't change, the next wave of retirees could face even greater financial hardships. So what's the solution? Planning ahead, saving more, and staying informed are the only ways to protect your future. But without serious policy changes, millions will continue to fall into poverty in their later years. Now, we want to hear from you. Are you concerned about retirement? Do you think the government is doing enough to support pensioners? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. We put a lot of effort into making these videos, so if you found this information valuable, please subscribe to our channel. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.